there is a moment when everything shifts, not because the world changes, but because you finally see what has been true all along. Your life is not happening to you. It is responding to you. Every person who walks into your world, every opportunity that appears or disappears, every obstacle that rises up to block your path, none of it is random. None of it is coincidence. All of it is a mirror, a reflection of the energy you broadcast into the world every single day. This is not poetry. This is not a metaphor designed to make you feel better. This is mechanics. This is the invisible architecture of reality itself. You are not a passive observer in your own life. You are a transmitter, a living, breathing signal tower. And the beliefs you hold, the thoughts you think, the emotions you feel, they all combine to create an electromagnetic signature, a frequency. And that frequency goes out into the world like a radio wave, and the universe reads it, interprets it, and reflects it back to you with frightening, undeniable precision. You already know this is true. You have felt it. You have seen it. You have watched someone walk into a room with confidence, with ease, with the quiet certainty that they belong, and you have watched the room rearrange itself around them. Opportunities open. People lean in. Doors that were closed suddenly swing wide. And you have also seen the opposite. You have watched someone shrink, someone doubt, someone carry the weight of unworthiness so visibly that the world treats them exactly as they fear it will. Overlooked, underestimated, invisible. And maybe you have been that person. Maybe you are that person right now. You work harder than anyone you know. You put in the hours. You follow the advice. You do everything right on paper. And still, the results do not come. The recognition does not arrive. The love feels conditional. The money feels scarce. The ease that others seem to experience remains just out of reach. You watch people with half your qualifications rise while you stay still. You watch relationships unfold effortlessly for others while yours require constant effort. You watch abundance flow to people who seem less deserving, less disciplined, less committed. And you wonder what you are doing wrong. You try positive thinking. You recite affirmations in the mirror. You visualize the life you want. You make vision boards and set intentions and tell yourself that this time, it will be different. And for a moment you believe it. For a moment you feel the hope rise in your chest like a wave. And then reality crashes back in. The same patterns repeat. The same obstacles resurface. The same disappointments arrive right on schedule. And the hope that felt so real just days ago now feels like a cruel joke. You are exhausted. Not just physically, emotionally, spiritually. You are tired of trying so hard and getting so little in return. You are tired of watching others succeed while you struggle. You are tired of feeling like the universe has favorites, and you are not one of them. But here is what you do not yet understand. Here is the truth that will change everything once you see it clearly. The universe does not have favorites. The universe has frequencies. And right now, without even knowing it, you are broadcasting the frequency of doubt, of unworthiness, of fear disguised as hope. And the universe, in its perfect, neutral, mechanical way, is giving you exactly what you are asking for. Not what you want, what you believe. Because the universe does not respond to your desires. It responds to your conviction. It responds to the signal beneath the surface, the one you are not even aware you are sending. You say you want abundance, but you believe money is hard to come by. You say you want love, but you believe you are too much or not enough. You say you want success, but you believe that people like you do not get to have it easy. And so the universe, reading your frequency with flawless accuracy, gives you lack, gives you conditional love, gives you the hard road, not because it is punishing you, but because it is mirroring you. This is the part most people never understand. They think the universe is withholding. They think they are unlucky. They think the game is rigged, but the game is not rigged. The game is precise. The game is responding to the exact frequency you are emitting, whether you realize it or not. And the frequency you are emitting is shaped by the beliefs you hold. Beliefs you did not choose. Beliefs that were installed in you before you had the language to question them. Beliefs that have been running in the background of your mind like an operating system, quietly determining what you see, what you expect, what you allow, what you repel. You were not born doubting yourself. You were not born afraid of success or love or ease. You learned it. You absorbed it. You inherited it from the people who raised you, the culture that shaped you, the experiences that marked you. And now those beliefs are the lens through which you see the world. And the world, in its infinite responsiveness, reflects that lens back to you. But here is the promise. Here is the reason you are here right now, reading these words, feeling the pull of something you cannot yet name. You can change the frequency. You can rewrite the beliefs. You can reprogram the signal. You can become the kind of person who doesn't hope for change, but expects it. Who doesn't chase success, but magnetizes it. Who does not beg for love, but radiates it. You can become the frequency of everything you have been trying to attract. And when you do, the world will respond. Not because you wished harder, not because you got luckier, but because you stopped trying to force the universe to give you what you want and started becoming the frequency that naturally attracts it. This is not about manifesting. This is not about the law of attraction as you have heard it before. This is deeper. This is about understanding the invisible mechanics of energy, belief, and resonance. This is about learning to see yourself as the source of your reality, not the victim of it. By the end of this journey, you will understand why some people seem to glide through life while others fight for every inch. You will understand why your past attempts at change have failed and what you need to do differently this time. You will understand the exact frequency of belief that magnetizes success, love, abundance, and peace into your life without force, without struggle, without the exhausting hustle that has drained you for years. You will learn the language the universe speaks, and you will learn to speak it fluently. You will discover the beliefs that have been sabotaging you, the ones you did not even know you had, and you will learn how to neutralize them, rewrite them, and replace them with beliefs that align with the life you actually want to live. You will learn how to design an environment, a routine, a way of being that keeps you locked into the frequency of your desired reality, even when life gets hard, even when doubt creeps in, even when the old patterns try to pull you back. You will understand the science behind all of this, the neuroscience of belief, the psychology of expectation, the physics of energy and resonance. You will see that this is not magic, this is mechanics. And once you understand the mechanics, you gain the power to change them. And most importantly, you will learn how to hold your frequency under pressure, how to stay anchored in your new belief when fear resurfaces, when results lag, when the people around you doubt your transformation. You will learn how to become unshakable. Not because you are perfect, but because you have trained yourself to return to your truth faster than the world can pull you away from you. This is not a quick fix. This is not a hack. This is a rewiring, a reprogramming, a complete shift in the way you see yourself, the world, and your place in it. And it works, not because I say so, but because thousands of people have walked this path before you. They have shifted their frequency, they have rewritten their beliefs, and they have watched their entire reality reorganize itself around their new signal. They stopped chasing, they started attracting, they stopped hoping, they started knowing, they stopped trying to convince the universe they were worthy. They became the frequency of worthiness itself, and now the universe has no choice but to respond. Because that is how this works. That is the rule. That is the law. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you believe. And right now, whether you realize it or not, you are already attracting. You are already broadcasting. You are already a magnet. The only question is, what frequency are you emitting? And more importantly, are you ready to change it? Because if you are truly ready to stop being the seeker and start being the signal, then this is where it begins. Not with hope, not with wishing, but with understanding, with clarity, with the willingness to look at the beliefs you have been carrying and decide, once and for all, that they no longer serve you. You are not broken. You are not cursed. You are not unlucky. You are simply tuned to the wrong frequency, and frequencies can be adjusted. Beliefs can be rewritten. Energy can be shifted. And when you shift your energy, everything shifts with it. This is your invitation, not to try harder, but to become different, to step into the version of yourself who already has what you want, to embody the frequency of the life you have been chasing, because the truth is, you were never meant to chase it. You were meant to become it. And once you do, the chasing stops, the struggle ends, the exhaustion lifts, and what you have been seeking begins to seek you. That is the promise. That is the path. That is what awaits you on the other side of this transformation. So take a breath. Let go of what has not worked, and get ready to learn the one skill that changes everything. The skill of becoming the frequency you want to attract. You know the feeling. You have lived it more times than you can count. You wake up before dawn. You work through lunch. You stay late when everyone else goes home. You deliver more than what was asked. You exceed expectations. You do everything right. And still, when the promotion comes, it goes to someone else. Someone who works less. Someone who seems to care less. Someone who, on paper, deserves it less. And you smile. You congratulate them. You say all the right things. But inside, something breaks. Not loudly, not dramatically. Just a quiet crack. Another piece of evidence that no matter how hard you try, it will never be enough. This is not just about work. This is everywhere. This is the pattern that follows you from room to room, relationship to relationship, year to year. You show up for people who do not show up for you. You give more than you receive. You remember birthdays, check in during hard times, offer support without being asked. And when you need something, when you reach out, the response is lukewarm, delayed, distracted. You tell yourself it is fine. People are busy. But deep down, you know the truth. You are not a priority. You are an option. You meet someone who seems different, someone who makes you feel seen. And for a moment, you let yourself hope. You let yourself believe that this time, love will not require so much effort. This time, you will not have to prove your worth. This time, You can just be yourself, and that will be enough. And then the pattern begins. The texts that take hours to return, the plans that get cancelled, the affection that feels conditional, tied to your performance, your mood, your ability to make them feel good, and you find yourself working again, trying again, convincing them again that you are worth choosing, and the exhaustion sets in. The quiet desperation of loving someone while wondering if they would love you back if you stopped trying so hard. You look at your bank account, and no matter how much you earn, it never feels like enough. There is always something, always an expense you did not see coming, always a reason you cannot relax. You watch other people take vacations, buy things without guilt, invest in themselves without fear. And you wonder how they do it, how they move through the world with such ease while you calculate every purchase, justify every expense, carry the weight of scarcity, even when the numbers say you should feel secure. You tell yourself you are being responsible. You tell yourself you are being smart. But the truth is, you are afraid. Afraid that if you spend, there will not be more. Afraid that abundance is not meant for you. Afraid that money, like love, like success, is something you have to fight for. Something that will slip through your fingers the moment you stop gripping it so tightly. This is the silent broadcast, the frequency you do not even know you are emitting, the signal that goes out into the world before you speak a word, before you take a single action. It is the energy of someone who believes they have to work twice as hard for half the reward. And the universe, in its perfect neutrality, gives you exactly that. You overcompensate in relationships because you do not believe you are enough as you are. So you attract people who confirm that belief. People who take but do not give. People who stay as long as you are useful and leave the moment you stop performing. You doubt your worth at work, even as you deliver exceptional results, because somewhere deep inside, you believe that people like you do not get to have it easy. So you attract environments where effort is expected, but recognition is scarce. Where your value is acknowledged just enough to keep you trying, but never enough to make you feel secure. You cannot rest because rest feels unearned. You cannot relax because relaxation feels irresponsible. You cannot spend money on yourself without guilt because pleasure feels selfish. And so your body stays tense. Your nervous system stays activated. Your health begins to deteriorate under the weight of stress that never ends, because you have convinced yourself that ease is not for you. This is what it feels like to live at the wrong frequency, to broadcast unworthiness while hoping for validation, to emit doubt while praying for certainty, to radiate lack while wishing for abundance. And the cruelest part is that you are trying. You are trying so hard, harder than most people will ever try. You are doing the work. You are showing up. You are giving everything you have. And still, the results do not match the effort. Still, the world does not respond the way you need it to. So you try harder. You work longer hours. You say yes when you want to say no. You shrink yourself to make others comfortable. You perform to earn love. You hustle to prove your worth. And the more you do this, the more exhausted you become. The more resentful you feel. The more you wonder why life has to be so hard for you when it seems so easy for everyone else. You watch people who seem less qualified get the opportunities you have been working toward for years. You watch them walk into rooms with confidence you have never felt and walk out with offers you have been denied. And you tell yourself they are lucky. They have connections. They were born into privilege. They do not have to fight the way you do. And maybe that is true. Maybe they did have advantages you did not. But that is not the whole story. Because the truth is, they are also emitting a different frequency. They believe they deserve it. They expect it. They do not question whether they are enough. They just are. And the world responds to that belief. The world opens doors for people who already believe the doors are theirs to walk through. Meanwhile, you stand outside those same doors, hoping someone will notice you, hoping someone will see your effort and decide you are worthy, hoping that if you just work a little harder, prove yourself a little more, eventually you will be let in. But hope is not a frequency. Hope is the sound of someone who does not truly believe. Hope is what you feel when you want something, but do not expect to receive it. And the universe does not respond to hope. It responds to conviction, to certainty, to the quiet, unshakable belief that what you desire is already yours, and you do not have that belief. Not yet. Not in the places that matter most. You hope your partner will see your value. But you do not believe you are irreplaceable. You hope your boss will recognize your contributions. But you do not believe you are indispensable. You hope money will flow more easily. But you do not believe abundance is your natural state. And so you get what you believe. Not what you hope for. What you believe. You get the conditional love because you believe love must be earned. You get the undervalued career because you believe you must prove your worth. You get the financial stress because you believe money is scarce and hard to come by. This is the silent broadcast, the frequency that runs beneath everything you say and do, the signal that tells the world exactly how to treat you. And until you change that signal, nothing else will change. You can work harder, try different strategies, move to new cities, start new relationships, but the same patterns will follow you. Because the pattern is not out there. The pattern is in you. It is in the belief that you are not enough. The belief that you have to earn what others receive freely. The belief that ease is for other people and struggle is your portion. And the most painful part is that you did not choose this belief. You did not wake up one day and decide to doubt yourself. It was taught to you, installed in you, wired into you before you had the awareness to question it. You learned it from the parent who loved you, but also made you feel like love was conditional on your performance. You learned it from the teacher who praised you only when you excelled and ignored you when you struggled. You learned it from the culture that told you success requires suffering, that rest is laziness, that wanting more is greed. You learned it from every time you were overlooked, every time you were told you were too much or not enough, every time you reached for something and were met with rejection, every time you hoped and were met with disappointment. And now those lessons live in your body, in your nervous system, in the way you hold yourself, the way you speak, the way you move through the world. And that energy, that frequency, goes out before you even open your mouth. And people feel it. Opportunities sense it. The universe reads it. And it gives you exactly what you are broadcasting, not what you want, what you believe you deserve. And right now, whether you realize it or not, you believe you deserve struggle. You believe you deserve conditional love. You believe you deserve to work twice as hard for half the reward. And so that is what you get, over and over and over again. This is the problem. This is the invisible weight you have been carrying. This is the silent broadcast that has been sabotaging you at every turn. You are not failing because you are not good enough. You are failing because you do not believe you are good enough. And that belief is the frequency you emit. And that frequency is the reality you receive. But here is what you need to understand. Here is the shift that changes everything. This is not permanent. This is not who you are. This is just the signal you have been trained to send. And signals can be changed. Frequencies can be adjusted. Beliefs can be rewritten. You are not stuck in this pattern because you are broken. You are stuck because you haven't yet learned how to change the broadcast. You have not yet learned how to emit the frequency of someone who expects ease, who knows their worth, who trusts that the universe is not withholding, but responding. And that is what comes next. That is the journey you are about to take. Not to try harder, not to hope more, but to become different, to shift the frequency, to rewrite the belief, to become the signal that attracts everything you have been chasing. Because once you understand how this works, once you see the invisible mechanics, everything changes. Not overnight, but inevitably, permanently, completely. The struggle ends, not because life gets easier, but because you stop emitting the frequency of struggle. And when you stop emitting it, the universe stops reflecting it. The beliefs you carry did not start with you. They were handed down, passed along, installed in you before you had the language to understand what was happening, before you had the awareness to question whether they were true. You were born open, curious, trusting. You entered this world believing you were worthy of love, of care, of attention. You did not doubt your value. You did not question whether you deserved to take up space. You just existed. Fully, freely, without shame. And then the world began to teach you, not with a curriculum, not with intention, but through 1,000 small moments, 1,000 subtle messages, 1,000 experiences that shaped the way you see yourself and what you believe is possible for you. You heard your parents argue about money. You felt the tension in the room when bills arrived. You heard the phrase, "Money does not grow on trees," repeated so often it became a truth you never questioned. And in that moment, your young mind learned something. Money is scarce. Money is stressful. Money is something you worry about. And that belief, installed before you were old enough to challenge it, is still running in the background of your mind today, still shaping the way you spend, the way you save, the way you feel when you look at your bank account. You watched your parents' relationship. Maybe they loved each other but fought often. Maybe they stayed together but grew distant. Maybe one of them left, and you absorbed it. You learned that love is unpredictable, that commitment does not guarantee presence, that closeness can disappear without warning. And now, as an adult, you attract partners who confirm that belief, partners who are inconsistent, who pull away when you get too close, who make you feel like love is something you have to earn and keep earning or risk losing. You were praised when you performed, when you brought home good grades, when you won the game, when you made your parents proud, and you learned that your worth is tied to your achievement, that rest is only acceptable after you have earned it, that you are valuable not for who you are, but for what you produce. And now you cannot stop, cannot slow down, cannot relax without guilt, because somewhere deep inside, you still believe that if you are not achieving, you are not enough. This is how beliefs form, not through conscious decision, but through repetition, through observation, through the emotional experiences that marked you when your brain was still developing, still learning how the world works, still figuring out how to survive in it. And survival is the key, because the brain you have, the one making decisions every moment of every day, was not designed to make you happy. It was designed to keep you alive, to keep you safe, to scan the environment for danger and respond before you even have time to think. This was useful when danger was physical, when survival meant avoiding predators, finding food, staying warm. But in the modern world, the threats are not physical. They are social, emotional, psychological. And your brain, still wired for ancient dangers, treats rejection like a predator, treats failure like a threat to survival, treats the unfamiliar like something to be avoided at all costs. So it scans, constantly, not for opportunity, not for possibility, for danger, for evidence that you are not safe, for proof that you should stay small, stay quiet, stay within the boundaries of what is known. And what is known is the familiar. Even when the familiar is painful, even when the familiar is limiting, even when the familiar is the very thing keeping you stuck, your brain prefers it, because the familiar is predictable, and predictability, to your nervous system, equals safety. This is why you repeat the same patterns, why you attract the same kind of people, why you find yourself in the same situations over and over again, even when you swore you would do things differently this time. It is not because you are broken. It is not because you are weak. It is because your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do. It is keeping you in the zone of what feels safe. And what feels safe is what you have already survived. You have survived being undervalued. You have survived conditional love. You have survived financial stress. So your brain, in its attempt to protect you, keeps you there. Because if you have survived it once, you can survive it again. But if you reach for something new, something unfamiliar, something that requires you to believe you are worthy of more, that is a risk. That is uncertain. That is dangerous. And so your brain resists. It creates doubt. It amplifies fear. It reminds you of every time you tried and failed, every time you hoped and were disappointed, every time you reached for more and were met with rejection. This is not your conscious mind. This is deeper. This is the subconscious, the operating system running beneath your awareness, the collection of beliefs, memories, and associations that were installed in you long before you had the ability to choose them. Your conscious mind says, I want abundance, I want love, I want success, I want ease. But your subconscious mind, the one actually running the show, says, that is not safe, that is not familiar, that is not who you are. And so it sabotages. It creates resistance. It finds reasons why now is not the right time, why you are not ready, why it will not work for you the way it works for other people. This is why affirmations alone do not work, why positive thinking feels hollow, why you can want something desperately and still repel it. Because wanting happens in the conscious mind, but believing happens in the subconscious. And if your subconscious does not believe you are worthy of what you want, it will block it. Every single time. A child who heard, "We cannot afford that," every time they asked for something, now unconsciously repels financial opportunity, not because they do not want money, but because their subconscious associates wanting with disappointment, with being told no, with the feeling of lack. So as an adult, they work hard, but never quite break through. They get close to success, and then something happens, an unexpected expense, a missed opportunity, a self-sabotaging decision, and they return to the familiar state of not quite enough. Because that is what feels safe. That is what their subconscious knows. Someone who witnessed volatile love as a child, who watched affection turn to anger without warning, who learned that closeness is dangerous, now attracts inconsistent partners, not because they want inconsistency, but because consistency feels foreign. It feels too good to be true. It triggers alarm bells in the subconscious that say, this will not last. So they either push away the stable partner or stay with the inconsistent one because at least that matches what they know. At least that feels like the love they learned. A person who was only praised for achievement, who learned that their value is conditional on performance, now cannot rest. They reach a goal and immediately set another. They accomplish something and feel empty hours later. They work themselves into exhaustion because stopping feels like failure. Because rest, to their subconscious, equals worthlessness, and so they stay in motion, always proving, always producing, always running from the fear that if they stop, they will be exposed as not enough. This is not weakness. This is not character failure. This is neurobiology. This is the way your brain was wired by the environment you grew up in, by the experiences that shaped you, by the survival strategies you developed to navigate a world that did not always feel safe. And here is the most important thing you need to understand, the most liberating truth, the one that replaces shame with clarity and judgment with compassion. You did nothing wrong. The beliefs you carry are not your fault. You did not choose them. You absorbed them. You were a child trying to make sense of the world, trying to survive, trying to figure out how to be loved, how to be safe, how to belong. And the beliefs you formed, even the limiting ones, served a purpose. They helped you navigate your circumstances. They protected you from pain. They kept you functioning in an environment that may not have been designed to help you thrive. But here is what has changed. You are not a child anymore. The circumstances that created those beliefs no longer exist. The dangers you were protecting yourself from are no longer present. The survival strategies that once served you are now the very things holding you back. You do not need to stay small to be safe. You do not need to doubt yourself to avoid disappointment. You do not need to work twice as hard to prove you are enough. Those strategies worked once, but they do not work now. Now they are the prison. Now they are the frequency keeping you stuck in a reality you no longer want. And the most powerful truth is this: what was wired can be rewired. The brain is not fixed. It is adaptable, flexible, capable of change at any age. This is not theory. This is neuroscience. This is a fact. Every time you challenge an old belief, you weaken the neural pathway that supports it. Every time you install a new belief, you create a new pathway. And with repetition, with consistency, with emotional intensity, that new pathway becomes stronger, becomes automatic, becomes the default. The brain you have was shaped by the world you survived. But survival mode is not the same as thriving mode. Survival mode scans for danger. Thriving mode scans for possibility. Survival mode clings to the familiar. Thriving mode reaches for growth. Survival mode protects you from pain. Thriving mode opens you to joy. And you can make the shift. You can move from one mode to the other. Not by ignoring your past, not by pretending the conditioning did not happen, but by understanding it, by seeing it clearly, by recognizing that the beliefs you carry are not truths. They are interpretations. They are conclusions you drew based on limited information in a limited context at a limited stage of your development. And now you have new information. You have awareness. You have the ability to look at those beliefs and ask, is this still true? Does this still serve me? Is this the frequency I want to keep emitting? And if the answer is no, you have the power to change it. Not overnight, not with a single affirmation, but through a process. A deliberate, intentional rewiring of the subconscious beliefs that have been running your life. This is not about blaming your parents, not about resenting your past, not about wishing things had been different. This is about understanding, about tracing the origin of the frequency you are emitting so you can consciously choose to emit a different one. Because once you see where the beliefs came from, they lose their power. Once you understand that they are not universal truths but conditioned responses, you stop treating them as fact. You start treating them as old programming. And old programming can be updated, replaced, rewritten. This is the root cause. This is the invisible hand that has been shaping your reality. Not the universe withholding. Not bad luck. Not a lack of effort. But the subconscious beliefs installed in you before you knew you had a choice. And now you do. Now you know. Now you see. And seeing is the first step. Understanding is the doorway. And on the other side of that doorway is a version of you who no longer runs the old program, who no longer emits the old frequency, who no longer attracts the old reality. Now that you understand where the beliefs came from, you need to understand where you are right now, and more importantly, where you are going. Because transformation is not a single jump. It is not a switch you flip. It is a progression, a journey through distinct stages. And each stage has its own frequency, its own energy, its own way of interacting with the world. Most people do not realize they are moving through these stages. They think they are either stuck or free, either broken or fixed. But the truth is more nuanced. The truth is that you are always at a specific frequency, and that frequency determines what you attract, what you see, what you believe is possible. Understanding these frequencies gives you a map. It shows you where you have been, where you are now, and where you are headed. It removes the confusion. It replaces frustration with clarity. It helps you see that you are not failing. You are evolving. And evolution happens in stages. There are 5 frequencies, 5 levels of belief, 5 ways of moving through the world, and each one creates a different reality. Frequency 1 is resistance. This is where most people live without realizing it. This is the frequency of someone who believes life is against them, that success is not meant for them, that no matter what they do, it will not be enough. At this frequency, every setback is proof, every disappointment is evidence, every obstacle confirms the story you have been telling yourself. The world does not work for people like me. You try, but you do not really expect it to work. You apply for the job, but you already know you will not get it. You go on the date, but you are already braced for rejection. You invest in yourself, but you are already preparing for it to be a waste. This is not conscious. You do not wake up and say, I am going to sabotage myself today. But the energy is there, the frequency is there, and it broadcasts loud and clear. You are resigned, defeated, convinced that effort leads to disappointment. And the universe, in its perfect neutrality, responds. You do not get the job. The date does not lead anywhere. The investment does not pay off. And you nod. You knew it. You were right. And the frequency strengthens. At this level, you repel what you want. not because you do not want it, but because you do not believe it is available to you. And that belief is the signal, and the signal is what the universe reads. This is the hardest frequency to shift from, because it feels like truth. It feels like realism. It feels like you are just being honest about how the world works. But it is not truth. It is a filter, a lens, a frequency that only allows you to see evidence of what you already believe. Frequency 2 is hope. This is where you are when you first start trying to change. You have read the books. You have heard about manifestation. You have decided that maybe, just maybe, things can be different. You try affirmations. You make a vision board. You write down your goals. You tell yourself that this time you will believe. This time you will stay positive. This time it will work. And for a few days, maybe even a few weeks, you feel it. You feel the hope rise. You feel the excitement. You feel like you are finally on the right path. But then doubt creeps in. A small setback happens. Someone criticizes you. Something does not go as planned, and the hope wobbles. The positivity feels forced. The affirmations feel hollow. Because the truth is, your conscious mind wants to believe, but your subconscious does not. Your conscious mind is saying yes, but your subconscious is still saying no. And when the conscious and subconscious are at war, the subconscious always wins. At this frequency, your energy is mixed. You are sending out conflicting signals. You want abundance, but you still feel scarcity. You want love, but you still fear rejection. You want success, but you still doubt your worth. And the universe responds to the mixed signal with mixed results. You get some wins, but they do not last. You get some progress, but it does not stick. You move forward, then slide back, forward, then back. And the frustration builds because you are trying so hard, but the reality is not changing the way you hoped it would. This is not failure. This is progress, because at least you are trying. At least you are aware. At least you have moved out of pure resistance. But you have not yet landed in belief. You are in the gap between wanting and having, between hoping and knowing. And that gap is where most people give up. Frequency 3 is openness. This is where the shift begins to happen. This is where you start to see evidence that contradicts the old story. Small wins appear. Things that used to feel impossible start to feel possible. You take a chance, and it works out. You set a boundary, and people respect it. You ask for what you want, and you receive it. Not every time, not perfectly, but enough times that you start to wonder. Enough times that doubt begins to crack. At this frequency, you are no longer fighting. You are no longer forcing. You are allowing. You are curious. You are open to the idea that maybe the universe is not against you. Maybe it is neutral. Maybe it is even responsive. Your energy shifts from resistance to curiosity, from desperation to exploration. You stop gripping so tightly. You stop needing to control every outcome. You start to trust that if you show up as your highest self, the world will meet you there. This is the frequency where transformation becomes real, where belief starts to take root, where the new neural pathways begin to strengthen. You are not fully there yet. You still have moments of doubt. You still slip back into old patterns, but you recover faster. You return to the new frequency more quickly. You start to notice that the more you trust, the more evidence you get that trust is warranted. At this level, you attract opportunities you would have missed before, not because they were not there, but because you were not open to seeing them. You were too focused on what was not working. too convinced that nothing would. But now your attention has shifted, and what you pay attention to expands. Frequency 4 is alignment. This is where hope becomes certainty, where trying becomes being, where effort becomes flow. At this frequency, you no longer hope for change. You expect it. You no longer chase success. You walk toward it, knowing it is already yours. You no longer wonder if you are worthy. You know you are. Your thoughts, emotions, and actions move in harmony. There is no internal conflict. No part of you is doubting while another part is believing. You are unified, coherent, clear. And because your signal is clear, the universe responds with clarity. Opportunities appear without force. Doors open without you having to knock them down. People show up who align with your frequency. Resources flow to you because you are no longer repelling them with doubt. This does not mean life is perfect. It does not mean challenges disappear. But it means you face them from a different place. You do not interpret setbacks as evidence of unworthiness. You interpret them as redirections, as refinements, as part of the process. At this frequency, you trust the timing. You trust the process. You trust yourself. And that trust is magnetic. It draws to you exactly what you need, exactly when you need it. You no longer feel like you are forcing. You no longer feel like you are convincing. You are simply being. And your being is so aligned with what you desire that the gap between wanting and having dissolves. This is the frequency most people are reaching for. This is what alignment feels like. This is what it means to be in flow. And once you reach it, you realize how much energy you were wasting in resistance, in hope, in doubt. You realize how simple it becomes when you stop fighting and start embodying. Frequency 5 is embodiment. This is the highest frequency. This is where you are no longer trying to attract success, love, or abundance. You are those things. You emit what you desire, and it flows to you naturally, effortlessly, inevitably. At this level, you do not think about your frequency. You do not monitor your thoughts. You do not manage your energy. You simply are. And what you are is so deeply rooted in belief, in trust, in knowing, that the external world has no choice but to reflect it. You walk into a room and people feel your presence before you speak. You think about an opportunity and it appears. You need something and it shows up. Not because you are special, not because you are chosen, but because you have become the frequency of what you desire. This is not arrogance. This is not entitlement. This is the natural result of complete alignment, of a nervous system that is calm, of a subconscious that believes, of a conscious mind that expects, of an energy field that broadcasts certainty. At this frequency, you are unshakable, not because nothing bothers you, but because you return to your center so quickly that disruptions do not derail you. You experience loss and trust that gain is coming. You face rejection and know it is protection. You encounter obstacles and see them as opportunities. This is mastery, not perfection. Mastery. The ability to hold your frequency no matter what the external world is doing. The ability to be the calm in the storm, the light in the darkness, the certainty in the chaos. And when you reach this level, you realize something profound. You were never chasing anything. You were always becoming. And now that you have become, the chasing stops, the seeking ends, and everything you ever wanted begins to seek you. So where are you right now? What frequency are you emitting? Are you in resistance, convinced that life is against you? Are you in hope, trying to believe but still wrestling with doubt? Are you in openness, starting to see evidence that change is real? Are you in alignment, moving through life with trust and flow? Or are you in embodiment, living as the frequency itself? Wherever you are, it is not permanent. You are not stuck. You are simply at a stage. And stages are meant to be moved through, not rushed, not skipped, but progressed through with awareness, with intention, with the understanding that each level builds on the last. And the goal is not to judge where you are. The goal is to see it clearly, to understand it, to honor it as part of the journey, and then to consciously, deliberately, intentionally move to the next level. Because you are not meant to stay where you are. You are meant to evolve, to rise, to become the frequency that attracts everything you have been reaching for. And that process begins now. Now that you know where you are on the journey, you need to know how to move forward, how to shift from one frequency to the next, how to take the beliefs that have been running your life and replace them with beliefs that align with the reality you actually want. This is not about positive thinking. This is not about repeating words you do not believe. This is about reprogramming the subconscious, about resetting the frequency at its source, about changing the signal you are broadcasting so the universe has no choice but to respond differently. This is the Belief Reset Protocol, a clear, step-by-step process that takes you from unconscious limitation to conscious creation. And it works, not because it is magic, but because it follows the mechanics of how belief is formed, how it is reinforced, and how it can be changed. The first step is to identify the pattern. You cannot change what you cannot see. So you must look at your life with ruthless honesty, not to judge yourself, not to shame yourself, but to see clearly what has been showing up over and over again. Look at your relationships. What patterns keep repeating? Do you attract people who are emotionally unavailable? People who take more than they give? People who make you feel like you have to earn their love? Look at your career. Do you get overlooked for promotions? Do you work harder than everyone around you, but receive less recognition? Do you doubt your worth even when you deliver exceptional results? Look at your finances. Does money feel scarce no matter how much you earn? Do unexpected expenses always appear right when you start to feel secure? Do you feel guilty spending money on yourself? These patterns are not random. They are not bad luck. They are reflections, mirrors, evidence of a belief that is running beneath the surface, shaping your reality without your conscious awareness. Write them down. Name them. Be specific. The more clearly you can see the pattern, the more power you have to change it. The second step is to name the belief. Now trace the pattern back to its source. What belief is fueling this outcome? What story are you telling yourself, consciously or unconsciously, that creates this reality? If you keep attracting unavailable partners, the belief might be, I am not worthy of consistent love. If you keep getting overlooked at work, the belief might be, I am not enough. If money feels scarce, the belief might be, abundance is not meant for me. This is hard. This is uncomfortable, because naming the belief means admitting that it exists, that you have been carrying it, that it has been shaping your life. And there is shame in that. There is pain in that. But here is the truth. The belief has been there, whether you name it or not. Ignoring it does not make it go away. It just keeps it hidden, keeps it running, keeps it in control. So say it out loud. Let the words come out of your mouth. I do not believe I am enough. I do not believe I deserve ease. I do not believe success is meant for people like me. And as you say it, feel where it lives in your body. Does your chest tighten? Does your stomach clench? Does your throat close? The belief is not just in your mind. It is in your nervous system, in your muscles, in your breath, and you need to feel it in order to release it. The third step is to question the evidence. Once you have named the belief, you have to challenge it. You have to ask the question that cracks it open, the question that weakens its grip, the question that creates space for something new. Is this belief absolutely true? Not mostly true. Not true in some situations. Absolutely true. True in every context, every moment, every circumstance, without exception. The answer, when you are honest, is always no, because the belief is not a fact. It is an interpretation, a conclusion you drew based on limited evidence at a limited point in your life. And if you look closely, you will find evidence that contradicts it. When have you been enough? Think. Search your memory. There was a time when someone saw your value without you having to prove it. There was a moment when you felt worthy without striving. There was a relationship, a job, a situation where you were chosen simply for being you. When has life supported you? When did things work out, even when you were afraid they would not? When did help arrive when you needed it? When did an opportunity appear at exactly the right moment? When did success come without suffering? When did something feel easy? When did you receive something you did not have to fight for? These moments exist. They are in your history. You have ignored them because they do not fit the story you have been telling yourself. But they are there, and they are proof that the belief you are carrying is not absolute truth. Write them down. List every piece of evidence that contradicts the old belief. Let the weight of reality crack the foundation of the lie you have been living. The fourth step is to install the new belief. Now that the old belief has been questioned, there is space. Space for something new. Space for a belief that aligns with the frequency you want to emit. A belief that supports the reality you want to attract. Choose it carefully. Not just words that sound nice, but a belief that feels true enough to reach for. A belief that stretches you but does not break you. A belief that your nervous system can begin to accept. If the old belief was, I am not enough, the new belief might be, I am worthy as I am. If the old belief was, abundance is not meant for me, the new belief might be, I am supported by life itself. If the old belief was, success requires suffering, the new belief might be, ease is available to me. Say it out loud. But do not just say it. Feel it. Embody it. Let your body shift as you speak the words. Stand taller. Breathe deeper. Let your posture reflect the truth of the new belief. Visualize it as already true. Close your eyes and see yourself living from this belief. See yourself moving through the world with the confidence that you are enough. See yourself receiving abundance without fear. See yourself succeeding without struggle. Let your brain rehearse the new reality and repeat it. Not once, not twice, but daily. Multiple times a day. With emotion, with conviction, with the understanding that repetition is what rewires the brain, that the new belief becomes automatic only after it has been practiced, reinforced, embodied over and over again. The fifth step is to anchor it through action. Belief without action is just a wish. You can say the words. You can visualize the outcome. But if your behavior does not change, your subconscious will not believe you. It will see the gap between what you say and what you do, and it will default back to the old program. So take action. Small action, immediate action. Action that reflects the new belief and broadcasts the new frequency. If your new belief is, I am worthy of ease, then rest without guilt. Say no to something that drains you. Delegate a task you would normally force yourself to do alone. If your new belief is, abundance flows to me naturally, then spend money with ease. Buy something you want without justifying it. Tip generously. Give without the fear that there will not be more. If your new belief is, I am enough as I am, then set a boundary. Stop overcompensating. Stop proving. Show up as yourself and trust that it is sufficient. The action does not have to be big. It just has to be aligned. It has to send the message to your subconscious that you are serious, that this is not just another affirmation you will abandon when doubt creeps in, that you are becoming the frequency, not just hoping for it. Let me show you how this works in real life. Imagine you are reprogramming financial scarcity. You notice the pattern. Money always feels tight. Even when you earn more, expenses rise to match. You feel anxious every time you check your bank account. You cannot spend without guilt. You name the belief. Money is scarce. I have to hold on to every dollar or there will not be more. You question the evidence. Has money always been scarce? No. There have been times when you had enough. Times when unexpected money arrived. Times when you spent freely and nothing bad happened. You install the new belief. Money flows to me easily and consistently. I am supported financially. You anchor it through action. You go out for coffee without calculating the cost. You donate to a cause you care about. You buy the book you want instead of waiting for it to go on sale. And as you do, you feel the shift. The tightness in your chest loosens. The fear quiets. The new belief begins to take root. Or imagine you are healing relationship patterns. You notice the pattern. You attract partners who are inconsistent, who pull away when you get close, who make you feel like love is something you have to chase. You name the belief. I am not worthy of steady, committed love. I have to earn affection. You question the evidence. Has every relationship been this way? No. There have been people who showed up consistently. There have been moments when you felt loved without trying. There have been friendships where you did not have to prove your worth. You install the new belief. I am worthy of love that is steady, present and freely given. You anchor it through action. You stop chasing. You stop overcompensating. You set a standard and hold it. You walk away from inconsistency instead of tolerating it. And as you do, the frequency shifts, and different people begin to appear, people who match the new belief. Or imagine you are releasing perfectionism. You notice the pattern. You cannot rest until everything is perfect. You work yourself to exhaustion. You feel guilty when you are not productive. You name the belief. My worth is tied to my output. If I am not achieving, I am not enough. You question the evidence. Has your worth ever actually depended on achievement? No. There have been people who loved you when you were doing nothing. There have been moments when you felt at peace without accomplishing anything. There have been times when rest restored you instead of diminishing you. You install the new belief. I am inherently valuable. My worth is not tied to what I produce. You anchor it through action. You take a full day off without guilt. You say no to a project that would stretch you too thin. You rest in the middle of the day without justifying it. And as you do, the eye-horse grip of perfectionism loosens. the new belief becomes real. This is the method. This is the protocol. This is how you reset the frequency at its core. It is simple, but simple is not easy. It requires honesty. It requires courage. It requires the willingness to look at the beliefs you have been avoiding and challenge them with evidence, with intention, with action. But it works. And every time you complete the cycle, the new belief gets stronger. The old belief gets weaker. The frequency shifts, and the universe responds. The protocol is the foundation. But foundation alone is not enough. You need reinforcement. You need tools that deepen the shift, stabilize the new frequency, and protect it from the pull of the old patterns. These are not optional. These are essential, because belief is not built in a single moment. It is built through repetition, through environment, through the small daily choices that either strengthen the new frequency or erode it. What you are about to learn are the practices that take the reset from temporary to permanent, from intellectual understanding to embodied reality. These are the tools that amplify your signal, anchor your new belief, and train your entire system to hold the frequency even when life tests you. Start with your environment. Your surroundings are not neutral. They are not passive. They are constantly sending you messages about who you are and what is possible for you. And if your environment reflects the old frequency, it will pull you back, no matter how strong your intention is. Look around you right now. What do you see? Is your space cluttered, chaotic, a reflection of overwhelm? Is it filled with objects that remind you of lack, of struggle, of a version of yourself you are trying to leave behind? Are there items you keep out of guilt, out of obligation, out of the belief that you cannot afford to replace them? Your environment is speaking to your subconscious every moment you are in it. And if it is speaking the language of scarcity, of unworthiness, of limitation, then that is the frequency you will absorb. That is the signal you will emit. So audit your space. Walk through it with the eyes of someone who is becoming the frequency you desire. What needs to go? What no longer matches the identity you are stepping into? What is anchoring you in the past? Release it. Not all at once if that feels overwhelming. But begin. One drawer, one shelf, one corner. Let go of the woo that carry the energy of who you used to be, and then cure it. Deliberately, intentionally. Bring in objects, images, symbols that reflect the reality you are attracting. If you are becoming someone who experiences abundance, surround yourself with beauty. Fresh flowers, quality items, space that feels expansive rather than cramped. If you are becoming someone who trusts in ease, create order. Clear surfaces, clean lines, an environment that feels calm rather than chaotic. This is not about perfection. This is not about spending money you do not have. This is about sending a clear signal to your subconscious that you are serious, that the identity shift is real, that the person you are becoming lives in a space that reflects their worth, their belief, their frequency. Your environment should remind you, every time you walk into it, of who you are becoming. It should feel like the external reflection of your internal shift. And when it does, it becomes a reinforcement, a constant, silent affirmation that you are already the person you are working to become. Now turn your attention to your language. Words are not just communication. Words are spells. They are incantations. They shape reality. And the way you describe yourself, your life, your future is either reinforcing the new frequency or anchoring you in the old one. Listen to yourself speak. Listen to the phrases you use without thinking. Listen to the way you describe your circumstances, your emotions, your possibilities. Do you say, "I cannot afford that"? Or do you say, "I choose not to prioritize that right now"? The first is the language of lack. The second is the language of agency. The first broadcasts scarcity. The second broadcasts choice. Do you say, "I am so stressed"? Or do you say, "I am navigating a busy season"? The first is the language of overwhelm. The second is the language of capacity. The first makes you a victim. The second makes you a navigator. Do you say, "I always struggle with this"? Or do you say, "I am learning to handle this differently"? The first locks you into a pattern. The second opens the door to change. These shifts seem small, they seem subtle, but they are not. Because every time you speak, you are programming your subconscious. You are reinforcing a belief. You are emitting a frequency. And if your words reflect the old story, your subconscious will keep that story alive. So practice. Catch yourself. Notice when you default to the language of limitation, of victimhood, of defeat. And choose different words, not as a performance, not to pretend everything is fine, but as a deliberate act of frequency alignment. Your words should match the belief you are installing. If you are becoming someone who trusts in abundance, stop saying you are broke. If you are becoming someone who believes they are enough, stop apologizing for taking up space. If you are becoming someone who expects ease, stop glorifying struggle. Shift your language. Shift your frequency. Now let us talk about your breath. Because when doubt creeps in, when fear resurfaces, when the old pattern tries to pull you back, the first thing that changes is your breathing. It becomes shallow, tight, restricted. And when your breath is restricted, your nervous system interprets that as danger. And when your nervous system senses danger, it pulls you out of the frequency of trust and into the frequency of survival. So you need a tool that resets the system, that brings you back to calm, back to clarity, back to the frequency of someone who is not in danger, but in control. Here is the technique. It is simple. It is immediate. It is something you can do anywhere, anytime, without anyone noticing. Breathe in for a count of 4. Hold for a count of 4. Breathe out for a count of 6. Hold for a count of 2. Repeat this cycle 4 times. That is it. 4 counts in, 4 counts hold, 6 counts out, 2 counts hold. 4 cycles. This pattern does something specific. It activates your parasympathetic nervous system. It signals to your body that you are safe, that there is no emergency, that you can relax. And when your body relaxes, your mind follows. The doubt quiets, the fear softens, the frequency stabilizes. Use this when the old belief resurfaces. Use this before you take an action that scares you. Use this when you feel yourself slipping back into the old pattern. Use this as a reset button that brings you back to the frequency you are cultivating. Your breath is the bridge between your conscious mind and your subconscious, between your intention and your nervous system. And when you learn to control it, you gain the power to shift your state in real time. Now let us talk about gratitude, but not gratitude as you have heard it before, not gratitude as a feel-good exercise, gratitude as a frequency amplifier, as proof to your subconscious that the new belief is already true. Because here is what most people do not understand. Your subconscious doesn't know the difference between what you have and what you are grateful for. When you practice gratitude for something, your brain interprets that as evidence that it is present in your life. And the more evidence your brain has, the more it scans for additional evidence. And the more it scans, the more it finds. and the more it finds, the stronger the belief becomes. So practice gratitude not for generic things, but for things that represent your new frequency. If your new belief is, I am supported by life, practice gratitude for moments when life supported you. When help arrived, when things worked out, when someone showed up at the right time. If your new belief is, abundance flows to me easily, practice gratitude for money that came to you, for opportunities that appeared, for resources that were available when you needed them. If your new belief is, I am worthy of love, practice gratitude for moments when you felt loved, when someone saw you, when affection was freely given, when connection felt easy. Do this daily. Write it down if that helps. Say it out loud if that strengthens it. But make it specific. Make it real. Make it evidence that your subconscious cannot ignore. This is not about pretending everything is perfect. This is about training your brain to scan for what matches the new frequency instead of what matches the old one. And the more you practice, the more automatic it becomes, until your default mode is not looking for lack, but looking for abundance. Not looking for rejection, but looking for love. Not looking for struggle, but looking for ease. And finally, visualization. Not as fantasy, not as escape, but as rehearsal, as practice, as a way to train your nervous system to hold the frequency of already having what you desire. Your brain does not distinguish between imagined experience and real experience. When you visualize something vividly, with emotion, with sensory detail, your brain fires the same neural pathways as if it were actually happening. And the more you rehearse, the more familiar the experience becomes. And the more familiar it becomes, the less resistance your subconscious has to it. So spend 5 minutes daily living inside the reality you are attracting. Not thinking about it, living it. Close your eyes. See it. What does your life look like when the new belief is fully embodied? What are you doing? How are you moving? What expressions are on the faces of the people around you? Feel it. What emotions are present? Is it peace? Is it joy? Is it confidence? Is it relief? Let those emotions fill your body as if they are happening right now. Hear it. What sounds are in this reality? What conversations are you having? What words are being spoken to you? What is the tone, the energy, the quality of the communication? Make it vivid. Make it real. Make it so tangible that your nervous system begins to believe it is already true. Because when your nervous system believes it, your behavior shifts, your energy shifts, your frequency shifts, and the universe responds. Do not rush this. Do not treat it as a task to check off. Treat it as a sacred practice, as a daily immersion in the frequency you are becoming, as a rehearsal for the reality that is already on its way to you. These tools, environment, language, breath, gratitude, visualization, are not separate from the protocol. They are the reinforcement, the stabilization, the daily practice that takes belief from concept to embodied truth. Integrate them gradually. Do not try to do everything at once. Start with one. Master it. Let it become automatic. Then add another. Layer them into your life in a way that feels sustainable, not overwhelming. Because transformation is not about perfection. It is about consistency. It is about showing up daily to reinforce the new frequency until it becomes who you are. Until you no longer have to think about it. Until it is simply the way you move through the world. And when that happens, when the frequency is stable, when the belief is embodied, when the tools are integrated, everything changes. Not because you forced it, but because you became it. Tools are powerful, but tools alone will not sustain you, because transformation is not a peak experience. It is not a moment of clarity that changes everything forever. It is a sustained state, a way of living, a rhythm that you build into the fabric of your daily life. You can reset your frequency. You can reprogram your beliefs. You can shift your energy in a single moment. But if you return to the same routines, the same relationships, the same rhythms that supported the old frequency, you will slide back, not because you failed, but because your life has not been redesigned to support the new you. So now we shift from techniques to lifestyle, from singular practices to foundational structures, from what you do occasionally to what you do daily. Because the person you are becoming needs a life that sustains them, a life that reinforces the new frequency instead of eroding it, a life that makes it easier to stay aligned than to fall back. Begin with your morning. The first hour of your day is not neutral. It is the most important hour. It sets the signal. It determines the frequency you will carry for the next 24 hours. And most people waste it. They reach for their phone before their feet touch the ground. They scroll through other people's lives before they connect with their own. They absorb stress, comparison, urgency before they have even taken a full breath. And then they wonder why the day feels off, why they feel reactive instead of intentional, why they cannot seem to hold the frequency they worked so hard to cultivate. Your morning is your foundation. Protect it. Design it. Make it sacred. This is where you ground yourself in the new belief before the world makes demands. This is where you set the signal before external noise tries to drown it out. What does this look like? It does not have to be elaborate. It does not require an hour of meditation or a complex routine. It requires intention. It requires that you give yourself time to arrive in your own life before you give your attention to everything else. Maybe it is 5 minutes of breath work. Maybe it is a few moments of visualization. Maybe it is speaking your new belief out loud before you speak to anyone else. Maybe it is gratitude. Maybe it is simply sitting in silence, reminding yourself who you are becoming before the day tries to convince you otherwise. The specifics matter less than the consistency, less than the commitment to starting your day from the frequency you want to hold, instead of from the frequency the world tries to assign you. Do this every day. Not when you feel like it. Not when you have time. Every day. Make it non-negotiable, because the person who skips their morning ritual is the person who will struggle to hold their frequency when the day gets hard. And the day will get hard. Life will test you. And when it does, you need to be anchored. You need to have started from a place of alignment so that when chaos arrives, you have something to return to. Now let us talk about boundaries, because you cannot maintain a high frequency while tolerating low-frequency people, environments, or obligations. You cannot emit the energy of worthiness while accepting treatment that makes you feel worthless. You cannot hold the belief that you deserve ease while saying yes to things that drain you. Boundaries are not walls. They are not rejection. They are frequency protection. They are the way you safeguard your energy so that the signal you worked so hard to shift does not get diluted, distorted, or drowned out by people and situations that do not match it. This is hard, especially if you have spent your life overcompensating, people-pleasing, saying yes when you wanted to say no, especially if you have equated boundaries with selfishness, with being difficult, with losing love. But here is the truth. The people who require you to have no boundaries are the people who benefit from your lack of them. The people who respect your worth will respect your boundaries, and the ones who do not were never aligned with your new frequency anyway. So practice saying no. No to the invitation that feels obligatory. No to the favor that depletes you. No to the conversation that pulls you into drama. No to the environment that makes you feel small. And practice saying yes. Yes to what aligns. Yes to what energizes. Yes to what reflects the belief you are installing. Yes to what makes you feel more like the person you are becoming. This is not about being rigid. This is not about cutting everyone off. This is about discernment, about recognizing that your energy is finite and your frequency is precious. And if you give it away to everything and everyone, there will be nothing left to sustain the transformation you are building. Boundaries are an act of self-respect, and self-respect is a frequency. And when you emit it, the world responds by respecting you too. Now let us talk about rest, because this might be the hardest shift of all. You have been trained by hustle culture to believe that rest is lazy, that ease is unearned, that if you are not grinding, you are falling behind. And that belief, more than almost any other, keeps you locked in the frequency of struggle. Rest is not weakness. Rest is not indulgence. Rest is a radical act of belief. It is proof that you trust life to support you, even when you are not in motion. It is evidence that your worth is not tied to your output. It is the signal that you are safe, that you are enough, that you do not have to earn your existence through constant effort. And your ability to relax without guilt is a direct measure of your frequency. If you cannot rest, it is because you do not yet believe you deserve it. If you cannot stop, it is because you are still running from the fear that if you do, everything will fall apart. But the truth is the opposite. Rest restores you. It recalibrates your nervous system. It clears the noise so you can hear your intuition. It creates space for insight, for creativity, for the opportunities that cannot arrive when you are too busy forcing. So practice rest. Real rest. Not scrolling, not numbing, not distracting, but true rest. Lying down in the middle of the day without justifying it. Taking a walk without a destination. Sitting in silence without filling it. Saying no to productivity for an entire afternoon, and trusting that the world will not collapse because you paused. This will feel uncomfortable at first. Your nervous system will resist. Your mind will tell you that you are wasting time. Your old belief will whisper that rest is only acceptable after you have earned it. But push through, because on the other side of that discomfort is a new level of trust, a new frequency, a new belief that you are inherently valuable, not for what you do, but for who you are. Now let us talk about community, because you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Their beliefs shape your beliefs. Their frequency influences your frequency. Their reality becomes your reality. And if the people around you are stuck in the old frequency, if they are still operating from lack, from doubt, from fear, it will be nearly impossible for you to maintain the new one. Not because you are weak, but because energy is contagious. And if you are constantly absorbing the frequency of struggle, your own frequency will eventually match it. So audit your relationships. Look at the people you spend the most time with. Do they reflect the frequency you are cultivating? Do they believe in possibility, or do they reinforce limitation? Do they celebrate your growth, or do they subtly discourage it? Do they lift you, or do they drain you? This is not about judgment. This is not about cutting people off without care. This is about honesty, about recognizing that some relationships were formed when you were at a different frequency. And as you evolve, not everyone will evolve with you, and that is okay. It is not a betrayal to outgrow people. It is not cruelty to create distance from those who keep you small. Surround yourself with people who are already living at the frequency you are reaching for. People who believe in abundance, in ease, in worthiness. People who do not need you to stay stuck to feel comfortable. People who see your transformation and cheer for it instead of fearing it. And if you do not have those people yet, seek them out. Join communities that align with your new belief. Find mentors who embody the frequency you are cultivating. Engage with content, with ideas, with energy that reinforces where you are going instead of where you have been. You cannot do this alone. You were never meant to. You need resonance. You need reflection. You need people who remind you of who you are becoming when the old identity tries to pull you back. And finally, make this a practice, not a project. A practice. Because transformation is not a destination. It is a process, and processes require consistent review, recalibration, and refinement. Set aside time weekly to assess your frequency, not to judge yourself, not to criticize, but to notice. What beliefs resurfaced this week? What old patterns showed up? What triggered you back into the old frequency? And just as importantly, what evidence appeared of your new reality? What moments reflected the new belief? What opportunities arrived? What shifts, however small, confirmed that the transformation is real? Write it down. Track it. Make it visible. Because your brain needs evidence. It needs proof that the new frequency is working. And when you document it, when you reflect on it, when you acknowledge it, you strengthen the neural pathways that support the new belief. And then ask, what adjustments are needed? What boundaries need to be reinforced? What practices need to be recommitted to? What relationships need to be reevaluated? What parts of your environment need to be refined? This is not about perfection. This is about awareness, about making small, consistent adjustments that keep you aligned instead of waiting until you have completely fallen off course. Sustainability is not built through dramatic overhauls. It is built through small, daily choices, through the decision to protect your morning, through the courage to set a boundary, through the willingness to rest, through the commitment to surround yourself with resonance, through the discipline to review and recalibrate. These are not grand gestures. These are foundational practices, and foundations are what allow everything else to stand. Without them, the tools crumble, the beliefs erode, the frequency fades. But with them, with a life designed to sustain the transformation instead of sabotage it, the new frequency becomes permanent. Not because you are trying to hold it, but because everything in your life is supporting it, reinforcing it, reflecting it back to you. And that is when the shift becomes irreversible. That is when you stop being someone who is working to change and become someone who has changed. That is when the frequency you emit is no longer something you maintain, but something you are. You might be wondering if any of this is real, if belief truly shapes reality, or if this is just another self-help concept that sounds good, but has no substance. You might be asking yourself if changing your frequency is science or just wishful thinking wrapped in spiritual language. The answer is science. Solid, measurable, documented science. And understanding the mechanics behind this transformation does more than validate the process. It strengthens your belief in it. It removes doubt. It gives you certainty that what you are doing is not just hopeful, but foundational. Not just possible, but inevitable. Let us start with your brain, specifically with a small structure called the reticular activating system. The RS. This is the filter, the gatekeeper, the part of your brain that determines what you see and what you miss. Every single second, your brain is bombarded with millions of data points, sights, sounds, sensations, information flooding in from every direction. And if your conscious mind tried to process all of it, you would be completely overwhelmed. You would be paralyzed by the sheer volume of input. So, your brain filters. It decides what is important and what is not, what gets your attention and what gets ignored, and the criteria it uses for this filtering is not random. It is based on your beliefs, on what you have told your brain, consciously or unconsciously, matters to you. If you believe you are unlucky, your RAS will scan the environment for evidence of bad luck. It will highlight every setback, every disappointment, every moment that confirms the story you are telling yourself. And it will ignore, completely bypass, every win, every moment of support, every piece of evidence that contradicts your belief. This is not because those positive moments do not exist. They exist. They are happening all around you. But your brain is not showing them to you, because they do not match the filter. They do not align with the belief you are holding. And the opposite is also true. When you believe you are supported, when you believe abundance is available, when you believe you are worthy, your RAS scans for evidence of that. It highlights opportunities. It notices synchronicities. It shows you moments of ease, of support, of flow, and it filters out the noise that would convince you otherwise. This is why two people can live in the same circumstances and have completely different experiences. Same job, same city, same relationships. But one person sees lack and the other sees abundance. One person sees rejection and the other sees redirection. One person sees closed doors and the other sees new pathways. It is not that one is delusional and the other is realistic. It is that their brains are filtering reality through different beliefs. And each of them is being shown a version of reality that matches what they expect to see. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you expect. And what you expect is determined by what you believe. And what you believe determines what your brain allows you to see. This is the RAS. And once you understand it, you realize that changing your belief does not just change your mindset. It changes your perception. It changes what you notice. It changes the data your brain presents to you. And when the data changes, your behavior changes. And when your behavior changes, your outcomes change. Now let us talk about neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself, to change its structure based on what you think, what you practice, what you repeat. For a long time, science believed the brain was fixed, that after a certain age, your neural pathways were set, that the beliefs you formed early in life were permanent, that you were stuck with the wiring you were given. But we now know that is not true. The brain is adaptable, flexible, capable of change at any age. This is not theory. This is documented fact. Neuroplasticity is real, and it is happening in your brain right now. Every time you think a thought, you activate a neural pathway, a connection between neurons. And the more you think that thought, the stronger that pathway becomes, the more automatic, the more ingrained. This is why old beliefs feel so true, why they feel like facts instead of interpretations. because the neural pathways supporting them have been strengthened through years of repetition, through thousands of moments where you thought the thought, felt the feeling, reinforced the pattern. But here is the powerful part. Every time you challenge an old belief, you weaken that pathway. Every time you install a new belief, you create a new pathway. And with repetition, with consistency, with emotional intensity, that new pathway becomes stronger, becomes faster, becomes the default. This is not wishful thinking. This is biology. This is the way your brain works. And it means that no matter how long you have held a limiting belief, no matter how deeply it feels ingrained, it can be changed. The pathway can be weakened. A new pathway can be built. The wiring can be updated. And the more you practice the new belief, the more automatic it becomes, until one day you do not have to remind yourself. You do not have to force it. It is just who you are. It is just how you think. It is just the lens through which you see the world. This is why repetition matters, why daily practice matters, why consistency matters, because you are not just changing your mind, you are rewiring your brain. And rewiring takes time, takes repetition, takes the willingness to keep showing up, even when the old pathway tries to pull you back. Now let us talk about the placebo effect, one of the most powerful demonstrations of how belief shapes reality. In medical studies, patients are given a sugar pill, no active ingredients, no therapeutic compounds, just a pill that does nothing. But they are told it will help them. They are told it will reduce pain, improve symptoms, heal their condition. And in a significant percentage of cases, it does. Not because the pill had any power, but because their belief did. The brain, convinced that healing is happening, triggers physiological changes. It releases endorphins. It reduces inflammation. It alters brain chemistry. And the body responds, not to the pill, but to the belief about the pill. This has been documented thousands of times in pain management, in depression treatment, in physical performance. Belief alone has been shown to heal illness, improve outcomes, and alter the body's response. And the opposite is true as well. The nocebo effect. When people believe something will harm them, it often does, even when the substance is harmless, because the brain responds to the belief, not the substance. Your conviction shapes your reality. Not because the universe is mystical, but because your brain and body respond to what you believe is true. Your beliefs trigger neurochemical responses. They influence your immune system. They alter your perception. They shape your behavior. And all of that combines to create outcomes that match what you expected. This is why belief is not optional. It is not just a nice idea. It is the mechanism. It is the lever. It is the thing that determines whether your brain and body are working for you or against you. And finally, let us talk about the electromagnetic field of the heart. Because this is where belief becomes energy, where internal state becomes external signal, where what you feel inside becomes what you broadcast outside. Research from the HeartMath Institute and other organizations has shown that the heart generates an electromagnetic field, a measurable, detectable field that extends several feet beyond your body. And this field is not static. It changes based on your emotional state. When you feel coherent emotions, gratitude, love, peace, contentment, the field becomes smooth, harmonious, organized. It radiates a clear, stable frequency. And other people, even when they are not consciously aware of it, sense this field. They feel it. They respond to it. This is why some people walk into a room and the energy shifts. why you feel calm around certain people and anxious around others, why you are drawn to some individuals and repelled by others without logical explanation. You are sensing their field, the electromagnetic signature they are broadcasting based on what they feel inside. And when you feel chaotic emotions, fear, anger, doubt, resentment, the field becomes erratic, disorganized, unstable. And again, people sense this, not consciously, but subconsciously, and they respond accordingly. They pull back, they hesitate, they do not trust, not because of anything you said or did, but because of the frequency you are emitting. You are always broadcasting, every moment, every interaction, every room you enter. Your heart is sending out a signal, and that signal is telling the world how to respond to you. This is not metaphor. This is measurable physics. You have an electromagnetic field. It changes based on your emotional state, and other people detect it, and that detection influences how they treat you, how they respond to you, how they engage with you. So when you shift your belief, when you move from fear to trust, from doubt to certainty, from scarcity to abundance, you are not just changing your thoughts, you are changing your field, you are changing the signal, you are changing the frequency you emit. And when that frequency changes, the way people and opportunities respond to you changes. This is why the work you are doing matters. This is why belief is not just internal. It is external. It is tangible. It is the energy you broadcast into the world. And the world, in its perfect responsiveness, reflects that energy back to you. The science is clear. Your brain filters reality through belief. Your brain rewires based on repetition. Your body responds to conviction. Your heart emits a field that others detect. All of this is measurable. All of this is documented. All of this is real. So when you change your belief, you are not just hoping for a different outcome. You are activating a biological, neurological, electromagnetic shift. You are changing the way your brain processes information. You are changing the way your body responds. You are changing the signal you broadcast. And when all of that changes, your reality has no choice but to change with it. Not because you wished it into being, but because you became the frequency that magnetizes it. And magnetism is not magic. It is physics. It is science. It is the way energy works. And now you know. Now you understand. Now you see that this is not just belief. This is mechanics. And when you trust the mechanics, when you follow the process, when you commit to the rewiring, the results are not just possible. They are inevitable. The science is real. The tools are proven. The process works. But knowing all of this does not mean the journey will be smooth. It does not mean life will stop testing you. It does not mean the old patterns will disappear without a fight. Belief is easy when life is easy. When everything is flowing, when opportunities are appearing, when the evidence is clear. But the real test comes when stress hits, when failure arrives, when doubt creeps back in, when the world seems to contradict everything you have been working to believe. This is where most people break. This is where they decide it is not working. This is where they abandon the new frequency and slide back into the old one. Not because the process failed, but because they did not know how to hold their frequency under pressure. So let us talk about what happens when life tests you, and more importantly, how to stay anchored when it does. Fear will resurface. Count on it. You can reprogram your beliefs, reset your frequency, rewire your brain, and still fear will show up. Because fear is not the enemy. Fear is the nervous system doing what it was designed to do, scanning for danger, trying to keep you safe, pulling you back toward the familiar, because the familiar feels safer than the unknown. When fear arrives, most people interpret it as failure, as proof that the transformation was not real, as evidence that they are still broken, and that interpretation pulls them out of the new frequency faster than anything else. But fear does not mean you are failing. It means your nervous system is still learning to trust the new frequency. It means the old wiring is still there, still firing, still trying to pull you back. And that is normal. That is expected. That is part of the process. So when fear shows up, do not run from it. Do not shame yourself for feeling it. Name it. Say it out loud. I am afraid this will not work. I am afraid I will fail. I am afraid I am not actually worthy of what I am reaching for. And then thank it. Thank you for trying to protect me. Thank you for wanting to keep me safe. Thank you for alerting me to what feels risky. I see you. I hear you. And I am choosing the new belief anyway. This is the key. Acknowledging the fear without letting it dictate your action. Recognizing it as a response, not a truth. Honoring it as part of your system without giving it control. And then you choose. You choose the new belief even while the fear is present. You take the aligned action even while the doubt is whispering. You hold the frequency even when the old pattern tries to pull you back. This is courage, not the absence of fear, but the willingness to move forward with it. Now let us talk about the gap, the space between shifting your frequency and seeing the external shift. This is where most people quit, because they change the belief, they do the work, they hold the frequency, and nothing happens, or at least nothing visible. The job does not come. The relationship does not change. The money does not flow. And they interpret the lack of immediate results as proof that it does not work, that they are the exception, that the universe is not responding. But there is always a lag, always a delay, because you are not just changing your thoughts, you are changing your energy, and energy takes time to reorganize into form. The internal shift happens first, the external shift follows, but it does not follow instantly. Think of it like planting a seed. You put it in the ground, you water it, you give it sunlight, and for days, maybe weeks, nothing appears above the surface. But beneath the soil, roots are forming. Structure is building. Growth is happening. And if you dig up the seed because you do not see results fast enough, you kill the process before it can complete. This is what most people do. They shift their frequency, and when they do not see immediate evidence, they panic. They doubt. They revert. And in doing so, they stop the process right before it was about to break through. So you need patience, but not passive patience. Not the kind of patience that sits back and hopes. Active patience. The kind that trusts the process while continuing to take aligned action. The kind that knows the shift is happening even when you cannot see it yet. The kind that holds the frequency while the universe rearranges itself to match it. Keep going. Keep choosing the new belief. Keep taking the aligned actions. Keep holding the frequency. And trust that the external reality is shifting even when the evidence has not yet appeared. Now let us talk about resistance from others, because the people around you are invested in the old version of you. They are comfortable with who you were. They know how to interact with that person. They know what to expect. And when you change, when you start holding a different frequency, when you start setting boundaries and expecting more and refusing to shrink, it disrupts their sense of stability. It makes them uncomfortable. And uncomfortable people resist. They will doubt you. They will question your changes. They will remind you of who you used to be. They will tell you that you are being unrealistic, that you are setting yourself up for disappointment, that you were fine the way you were. And if you are not prepared for this, their resistance will shake you. It will make you doubt yourself. It will make you wonder if you are wrong, if you are being arrogant, if you should just go back to being the person they are comfortable with. But their discomfort is not your responsibility. Their need for you to stay the same is not your obligation. And their doubt does not determine your truth. Expect resistance. Expect people to challenge your new identity. Expect some relationships to strain or even end. And hold your ground anyway. Not with defensiveness, not with the need to convince them, but with quiet certainty, with the understanding that your transformation is for you, not for their approval. Let your results speak louder than their doubt. Let your peace speak louder than their concern. Let your alignment speak louder than their questions. And trust that the people who are meant to be in your life at this new frequency will either rise with you or be replaced by those who already match where you are going. Now let us talk about relapse, because it will happen. You will have moments, maybe days, where you slip back into the old frequency, where you react from fear instead of trust, where you doubt instead of believe, where you shrink instead of expand. And when this happens, the temptation is to see it as failure, to interpret it as proof that you haven't really changed, to spiral into shame and give up on the process entirely. But relapse is not failure. It is information. It is your system showing you what still needs reinforcement, what trigger still has power, what belief still needs more attention. So when you slip, notice it without judgment. Do not shame yourself. Do not catastrophize. Just notice. I slipped back into the old pattern. What triggered this? What was I feeling right before it happened? What do I need to reinforce? Maybe you need to revisit the belief reset protocol. Maybe you need to strengthen a boundary. Maybe you need more rest. Maybe you need to distance yourself from a person or environment that pulls you back. Maybe you just need to recommit to the morning ritual you let slide. The slip is not the problem. The problem is staying in the slip. The problem is interpreting it as permanent instead of temporary. The problem is giving up instead of adjusting. So when you notice you have slipped, return. Immediately. Do not wait until tomorrow. Do not wait until Monday. Do not wait until you feel ready. Return now. Choose the new belief now. Take the aligned action now. Hold the frequency now. And each time you do this, each time you catch yourself and return, you get faster. The slip gets shorter. The recovery gets quicker. And that is mastery. Not never falling, but learning to stand back up before anyone even notices you were down. And finally, let us talk about high-stakes moments, because this is where the frequency you hold matters most. Job interviews, difficult conversations, financial decisions, health crises, moments where the outcome feels critical and the pressure is immense. This is when most people abandon their frequency. They revert to fear, to doubt, to the belief that they need to force, to control, to convince. And in doing so, they broadcast the very energy that repels what they want. But if you have been practicing, if you have been building the foundation, if you have been training your nervous system to hold the new frequency, then these moments become opportunities. Opportunities to prove to yourself that the transformation is real, that the frequency is stable, that you can trust yourself even when the stakes are high. So in those moments, breathe. Use the technique you learned. 4 counts in, 4 counts hold, 6 counts out, 2 counts hold. Reset your nervous system before you enter the room, before you have the conversation, before you make the decision. Then remind yourself of the new belief. I am worthy of this. I am enough. I am supported. I trust the outcome. And let that belief settle into your body. Let it shift your posture. Let it calm your voice. Let it steady your presence. And then show up, not trying to prove, not desperate for a specific outcome, but grounded in your frequency, clear in your energy, certain in your worth. And let that frequency do the work, because the frequency you hold in the storm is the one that determines the outcome, not your resume, not your words, not your strategy, your frequency, the energy you broadcast when the pressure is on, the signal you emit when everything feels uncertain. And if you can hold your frequency in those moments, if you can stay anchored in the new belief when life is testing you, then you will see something remarkable. You will see that opportunities open not because you forced them, but because you matched them. You will see that people respond not because you convinced them, but because you embodied what you were asking for. You will see that outcomes align not because you controlled them, but because you emitted the frequency they resonate with. Mastery is not perfection. Mastery is not never slipping, never doubting, never feeling fear. Mastery is the ability to return to your frequency faster each time you lose it, to catch yourself sooner, to recover quicker, to trust deeper. And that is what you are building. Not a life without challenges, but a self that can hold steady through them. Not a reality without pressure, but a frequency that remains unshaken by it. This is how you hold your frequency when life tests you. Not by avoiding the test, but by passing it, over and over again, until the new frequency is not something you maintain, but something you are. You are not the same person who started this journey. You are not the person who doubted their worth, who questioned whether ease was possible, who carried the weight of limiting beliefs like an identity. That person still exists in your memory, in your history, but they are no longer who you are. You have shifted, not just in understanding, not just in intention, but in frequency, in belief, in the very energy you emit into the world. You are no longer becoming. You have become. This is not arrogance. This is not pretending. This is recognition. This is the moment you stop hoping for change and acknowledge that you are the change, that the work you have done, the beliefs you have challenged, the frequency you have cultivated has reorganized you at a fundamental level. You are someone who trusts life now, not blindly, not naively, but deeply. You trust that the universe is not against you, that setbacks are redirections, that delays are not denials, that what is meant for you will find you because you have become the frequency that magnetizes it. You are someone who expects abundance now, not someday, not when you finally deserve it. Now. You expect money to flow. You expect opportunities to appear. You expect support to arrive. Not because you are entitled, but because you have rewritten the belief that scarcity is your portion. You have installed the truth that abundance is your natural state. And your nervous system, your energy field, your entire being now broadcasts that expectation. You are someone who attracts love, opportunity, and ease now. Not because you are perfect, not because you have eliminated every fear or healed every wound, but because you believe you are worthy. And that belief has changed everything. It has changed what you tolerate, what you accept, what you reach for, what you allow into your life. You no longer beg for love. You emit it, and in emitting it, you attract it. Steady, present, freely given. You no longer chase opportunities. You prepare for them. And in preparing, you magnetize them. Clear, aligned, perfectly timed. You no longer force ease. You embody it, and in embodying it, you experience it. Natural, effortless, inevitable. This is who you are now. This is the identity you have integrated. This is the frequency you have become. And life looks different from this place. Mornings feel different. You wake up without dread, without the heavy weight of inadequacy pressing on your chest before your eyes even open. You wake up grounded, certain, ready. Not because the day will be perfect, but because you trust yourself to navigate it. Because you know that whatever comes, you can hold your frequency through it. Relationships feel different. You no longer enter them from a place of desperation. You no longer twist yourself into shapes that do not fit just to keep someone's attention. You no longer overcompensate, over-explain, overgive to prove you are worth staying for. You show up as yourself, fully, unapologetically. And you trust that the people who are meant to be in your life will see your value without you having to perform it. Work feels different. You no longer carry the constant hum of self-doubt. You no longer second-guess every decision, every contribution, every moment of visibility. You know your worth. You deliver your value. And you trust that recognition will come, not because you forced it, but because you have become undeniable. Not loud, not arrogant, just clear, just certain, just aligned. Rest feels different. You no longer feel guilt when you pause. You no longer equate stillness with laziness or ease with unworthiness. You rest as an act of trust, as proof that you believe life will support you even when you are not in motion. And in that rest, you restore, you recalibrate, you return to your frequency stronger than before. Money feels different. You no longer grip it with fear. You no longer spend with guilt or save with anxiety. You move money with ease, with trust, with the understanding that it is energy, and energy flows. And the more freely you allow it to flow, the more it returns. Not because you are reckless, but because you are no longer operating from scarcity. You are operating from abundance. And abundance attracts more abundance. This is what life looks like now. Not perfect, not without challenges, but fundamentally different. Because you are no longer chasing what you want, you have become the frequency that magnetizes it. And there is an ease in that, a peace in that, a certainty in that. But here is what you need to understand. This transformation is not a destination. It is a state, and states require maintenance. Not through force, not through exhaustion, but through commitment, through the daily choice to protect your frequency with the same intensity you once defended your limitations. The old story will try to pull you back. The old beliefs will whisper. The old patterns will resurface. And in those moments, you have a choice. You can slip back into who you were, or you can recommit to who you have become. Choose to recommit. Choose to protect this frequency. Choose to honor the work you have done by living it fully. By refusing to shrink back into smallness just because it feels familiar. By refusing to doubt yourself just because someone else doubts you. By refusing to abandon your worth just because life tests it. You have built something here. Something real, something powerful. A new operating system, a new baseline, a new way of being in the world. And it is yours. No one can take it from you, But you can give it away. You can abandon it. You can let it fade if you stop choosing it. So choose it. Every day. In the small moments. In the hard moments. In the moments when no one is watching and it would be easier to revert. Choose the new belief. Choose the new frequency. Choose the identity you have worked so hard to integrate. Because this is not just about attracting a better life. This is about becoming a different person. A person who trusts. A person who expects. A person who knows without question that they are worthy of everything they desire. And from that place, everything flows, not because you are lucky, not because the universe finally decided to favor you, but because you stopped blocking it. You stopped repelling it with doubt and fear and unworthiness. You cleared the channel. You aligned the frequency. You became the magnet. And now, what you have been reaching for is reaching back. You feel it, do you not? The shift. The subtle but undeniable change in the way the world responds to you, the way opportunities appear, the way people show up, the way synchronicities unfold, the way ease finds you even in the middle of chaos. This is not coincidence. This is resonance. This is the universe reflecting back the frequency you are emitting. This is the evidence that the transformation is real, that the work was worth it, that you are no longer who you were. So step fully into this. Stop hedging. Stop waiting for more proof. Stop doubting whether you have really changed. You have. The evidence is here. The shift is real. The frequency is stable. You are no longer the person who hopes things will work out. You are the person who knows they will. You are no longer the person who chases love, success, abundance. You are the person who attracts it. Naturally, effortlessly, inevitably. This is not ego. This is truth. This is the result of the work you have done, the beliefs you have challenged, the frequency you have shifted, the identity you have integrated, and now you have a responsibility, not to be perfect, but to be consistent, to show up as this version of yourself even when it is hard, even when the old story feels safer, even when doubt creeps in, to return to your frequency faster each time you lose it, to trust deeper each time you are tested, to believe stronger each time fear resurfaces. Because you are not just transforming your own life, you are becoming a frequency that others feel, a presence that shifts rooms, an energy that inspires change in people who do not even understand why they feel different around you. You are a signal now, a living example of what happens when someone stops accepting limitations and starts embodying possibilities. And the world needs that. The world needs people who have done the work, who have shifted the frequency, who have proven that change is not just possible, but inevitable when you commit to it. So live this, fully, completely, without apology, without hesitation, without the need to dim yourself to make others comfortable. You are worthy. You are enough. You are supported. You are abundant. You are loved, not because you earned it, but because you are. And now you believe it. And that belief has changed everything. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you believe. And now you believe in yourself. And because you believe, the universe has no choice but to believe in you too. This is not the end. This is the beginning of a life where struggle is optional, where ease is available, where worthiness is assumed, where love flows freely, where abundance is natural, where trust is the foundation. You have become the frequency. Now live as the frequency, and watch as everything you have ever wanted begins to find its way to you. not because you chased it, but because you became it. Welcome home.